Hi everyone, this is Maria.
And this is Nicole. Welcome to the Digitally Immune podcast. Today, we'll be talking about digital addiction. This podcast is for you if you've been feeling stuck, behind, because you spend so much time on social media or on streaming platforms. You are an entrepreneur, you're highly driven, you have big dreams, but somehow these platforms are sucking away your potential. And so one little scroll ends up being 2 hours in your day. You go for one episode and you end up on an 8-hour Netflix binge. And so this podcast is for you if you've been trying different things, but nothing seems to work, and you've been asking yourself if there's something wrong with you.
I was in your shoes. I used to binge watch 19, 24 hours straight. I used to scroll endlessly until the morning hours. And I'm here to tell you, there's nothing wrong with us. There's a way out, and we're gonna dive into it today. We have a big potential. We should use it. And that potential is being sucked away by these platforms, these addictive platforms. It's killing our dreams. It's killing what we want to achieve in our life. So it's about time we tackle it. So let's dive right in.
Cool. So Maria, let's start with your story. What brings you here today? What makes you want to talk about digital addiction today?
So my digital addiction started almost 15 years ago, and it grew in intensity in my late 20s. And I'm a highly driven person. I have big dreams. I always put myself with like high standards. And nobody noticed that I was wasting so much time on useless consumption, like binge watching until the morning hours or scrolling endlessly. But I noticed, and I noticed that everything that I was doing was not consistent. Like I had side businesses, and I do have a 9 to 5. But every time I opened something, it would last a few months and then it would fail because there was no consistency in anything that I was doing. Because one day out of two, I was wasting hours of my day. So there was no momentum left. And I was getting frustrated over the years, and I was getting upset with myself. But I tried everything. There was no way out. I couldn't figure out how to remove this. Now I call it addiction. Until one day, something changed. And it's a morning that I will never forget in my life. That morning, I had a presentation to do at work at 11 a.m. And the previous night, I said to myself, okay, tomorrow is a very important day. I'm going to sleep early, 9 p.m., wake up at 6 a.m., prepare the presentation, be ready for it. Easy. I went to bed, 9 p.m., except that I said to myself, like all those previous times, I said, how about I watch one video on YouTube? But that one video on YouTube ended up being a binge watch until 6 a.m. And do you know this feeling when you have the phone in front of you and you're doing like this, like something has possessed you and you keep going scroll after scroll after scroll, video after video, and there's a voice in the back of your mind that says, Maria, stop. You should stop. You should sleep. You should stop. But then it's faint and something doesn't work. You just can't get out of that trance state. And I call it today a trance state because you can't get out of it. And so I slept that morning at 6 a.m. I was destroyed. That was the time I was supposed to get up. I slept at 6 a.m. I woke up at 10 a.m. with the sun hitting my face. And I was feeling so ashamed. I was feeling so bad. I hated how I felt. And I started crying because that wasn't the first time I tried to control this behavior. I tried the books. I tried therapists, coaches, the friction devices, putting your phone in a different room, the time blocking apps, all of that. And they still failed me. I had been trying for years to stop my digital addiction. And so on that morning, I gave up. I was gonna mess up that presentation for sure. But it wasn't just about that presentation. It was about my whole life. I was turning 25, late 20s. And I remember I said to myself, this is my whole life on the line. This thing has been robbing me from my potential. I can do so much, and I know I can do so much because I've looked back at my previous achievements. If I had that time back, if I had that energy back, I would do so much. But I couldn't because something was sucking away my potential. And here was the girl that had big dreams. I left my country, Lebanon. I left my family, I left my friends because I wanted to achieve so much. I dreamt of a better future for me, for the people I love, and I knew I could do it. And so it felt so defeating to be losing to this tiny device. I'm ashamed of it. I felt so much guilt. I felt like I'm a disappointment to myself, to the younger self in me. And so I cried a lot that morning. I remember it very well. I'm a believer. So I feel like some things in our life don't just happen to us, they happen for us.
Yeah.
And on that morning, there's a voice or a thought that went through my head that said, what if this is so hard for you to break, to feel free? Because you're supposed to understand how hard this is for others too. What if there's somebody else in bed this morning hating themselves? Like feeling that they're not gonna do anything much in their life if they continue like this. And they can't figure out a way out and they're crying in bed. What if you're not alone? And what if you're supposed to find a way out for yourself and for others? And that was the morning I started feeling less lonely. Because every time I found myself scrolling and hating it and crying or binge watching for 24 hours straight, I would used to think, oh, what if there's somebody else out there today also hating themselves, hating how it makes them feel and unable to get out of it. And ever since that day, I decided to geek out about this. More therapy sessions, more coaching, more books, more interviews, more experiences, more lessons, trying all the tricks in the book to figure out how to solve this. And this is what led to our digitally immune movement. And you've been on board this whole journey and with your wisdom, and I'm really thankful, Nicole, because with your wisdom, there's so many things I wouldn't have figured out by myself. And that's exactly why I want you here today to share what you have in your brain, all these things that you've helped me overcome, these pieces of nuggets of information that are so valuable. I want you to share them with our audience today because I know they're going to be so valuable.
Thank you.
You've helped me break free, and I want to help other entrepreneurs break free and live up to their full potential. I just want to start with the first moment. I don't know if you remember it clearly. It's the first moment where I told you, and I admitted to you, because I had never said that before, that I was digitally addicted. I didn't know what to call it back then, but that was the first moment I told you, hey, Nicole, I've been lying to you for years. There's something going on. You should know about it. Do you remember that day?
Oh, of course. Of course, I remember this day. So I was going back home from work and I saw you there on the couch crying, sobbing. And I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know what to think. I just ran to you like, what's wrong? And you weren't having even words. We're just like, we need to talk. I sat next to you. We had like an awkward silence. I was like, my heart started to pound. Like, what's happening? Everything was going well, and I like, for me, this is like, of course, I will never forget this moment because it was so scary for me as well. Like, I don't know what to expect of you. And so when you started talking, and you started telling me, I have this monster that's I can't fight, that's bigger than me. Remember calling it a monster?
Yeah, definitely. I used to call it a monster. That's how it felt.
Yeah, like we didn't even know the term digital addiction. It was just like this thing having a grip over me, and I don't know how to fight it. And so I remember clearly two different things that you actually admitted. First, that you were lying to me on the days that we needed to wake up in the morning and you couldn't wake up. And you told me like you had some trouble sleeping. And actually what was happening was that you were binging all night and I was asleep in bed and I didn't know. So this was the first thing. But most importantly, what I felt really was that you were ashamed, that you were feeling weak. You felt like this weakness, like you are strong, you are independent, you go from side hustle to side hustle. You have big dreams, but also big achievements, and still you felt weak. You felt this weakness taking over you because you can't fight this little device. Like you can't fight, like you say you will stop watching or you will stop binging, but then you end up on an 8-hour binge. I remember very clearly that you were feeling ashamed, you were feeling weak, but also it's very important to know that this moment was the beginning of your healing journey. Because once you start talking about it, it shrinks.
True.
This monster in your head, it's a monster because it's something that you've been hiding. It's something that you're fighting with yourself, and the thoughts are just looping. And especially the things that you tell yourself, the questions. I remember you asking, "What's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me?" And so I told you back then, the quality of your life is the quality of your questions. And so when you ask, "What is wrong with me?" or "Is there something wrong with me?" your brain will start looking for answers to that question. So every time you ask yourself a question with a negative connotation, or a question that is self-destructive, you will just feel worse. And your brain will start answering, "Okay, what's wrong with me? I'll tell you what's wrong with you. There's this wrong with you, and this wrong with you, and this wrong with you." And it just becomes a bigger and bigger monster. And it starts interfering in other areas of your life as well. So instead of asking, "Is there something wrong with me?" you can ask, "What trap did I fall into?" Because we are in an era where these are different traps. There are different traps on these platforms that suck us into the platforms and that want us to spend more time. So when you ask yourself, "What trap did I fall into?" then you will find the trap. If you ask yourself, "How can I reduce my time on device?" you'll start looking for solutions. So the questions that are turned into, "Let's look for solutions," you will look for solutions. If the question is turned into, "Let's look for problems," you will find more problems and feel worse and worse.
That's so true. Exactly as you said it, like the first thing was putting it out there, saying it out loud, because that's when it became smaller in size and more tangible, more we could discuss it, we could deal with it. It wasn't this thing eating me anymore. And second, as you said, you taught me to ask better questions. That's so true. And also there's something that I've noticed, like I've had success with reducing my screen time, but I've also noticed that it's not everyone that gets this ability or succeeds in reducing their screen time. And we've helped entrepreneurs in the last year. We've seen some succeed and some don't. So in your opinion, what is the reason why some entrepreneurs succeed in reducing their time on device and why others don't?
Very good question. So what makes some entrepreneurs succeed in reducing their time on device and some entrepreneurs fail at reducing their time on device is one thing. The ones who succeed are the ones who have a clear why, a big enough reason to gain back this time. They have big dreams. They have a clear reason to reduce their time on device because this time they need it for something else bigger than them. A mission, a dream, a goal, a vision, something that's so clear. And the why should be powerful and vivid. And I will explain. Powerful is being like something bigger than you, something that pulls you towards the future. If you don't have a big why, a powerful why, then why would you need to reduce your time on device? Like if you gain back 2 hours in your day to do simple things or to like pay the bills, let's say, like it's not exciting. But if you want to gain back 2 hours and these 2 hours, you're putting them into a big mission, you're putting them into big goals, building a financial wall around your family, nothing can get through. This is exciting. And so this is what makes some entrepreneurs succeed and others don't. The second point of the why is that it needs to be vivid. And so we'll try a little exercise to explain what vivid means. And if you're tuning in today, feel free to also do this exercise with us. So I want you, Maria, to think of the biggest dream you want to achieve in the next 5 years.
Right now?
Right now.
Okay.
You don't have to say it, just think about it.
Biggest dream, next 5 years. Okay, done.
Done? Okay. Would you say this dream is close or far right now?
Far at the moment.
Okay. If you were to paint a picture of this dream, is it grayish and blurry or is it clear and detailed?
The color is in my mind when I see the image is more grayish, like It's a bit blurry.
Okay, great. Now I want you to close your eyes.
Okay.
Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in. Exhale. Now I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from now. You have already achieved this dream. You are there. It is done. You're celebrating. Take it in. Enjoy it. You can clap if you want to.
I feel like it. Whew.
Okay, enjoy it. Now look back at the 5 years that passed. Think of all the things you had to do to arrive to this dream, to arrive to this goal, to achieve this goal. Everything you went through. Who have you become? Who did you have to meet? Who did you spend time with? How did you spend your time? And now you achieved it. Congrats. Okay, you can open your eyes.
I want to stay there.
How does it feel?
So good. So good.
And now if I tell you to think of this goal, do you feel it's close or far?
Close. It's now. It's happening.
It happened.
Yeah.
It already happened.
Mm.
Exactly. And if you were to paint the picture, is it still gray or is it now colorful and detailed?
It's colorful and sunny, bright.
Sunny. Yes. Yes, I like that. Sunny. Okay. Do you feel more excited now to work towards this goal than when we just started?
Of course. Yeah. I even feel like I have more clarity.
Do you feel like you know what you need to do to get there?
Yeah. Like when you told me who am I supposed to meet and what am I supposed to do and how I'm supposed to spend my time, I got a couple of ideas on my mind.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is exactly what Vivid means. This is, in a nutshell, what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the entrepreneurs who try and fail, not just in reducing their screen time, but more specifically in reducing their screen time. Having a clear why that's powerful and vivid is what creates this edge.
Oh, I love that. I really love that. When you're talking about the fact that there's this why, and it's the reason why people would want to reduce the time they spend on their device, and it has to be powerful and has to be vivid. It got me thinking about sometimes where I have a deadline. Like, let's say I have a deadline in 7 days or in a few days. And I know that it's very important to me. And it's very vivid because it's in a couple of days. And it's powerful, as you said. It has a strong pull. There's a strong desire in me to achieve it. But I notice sometimes that when I have such a deadline, I feel a stronger urge to scroll and to actually watch YouTube again, binge watch all night. Why is that? Like, you're saying I need to have a why that's powerful and vivid. Why, when something is so close, the urge becomes stronger?
Yes. So there's a difference. The why that I was talking about, it's your mission, it's your dream, it's your goal, that you get it close and you work towards it. What you're talking about here is deadlines. And with deadlines comes stress, anxiety sometimes, worry. This stress can be productive, can be good to push you, but it's also uncomfortable. And we tend to use our phones for emotional regulation. So actually, we don't sit with our uncomfortable emotions anymore. We go for the phone as an escape. So if we feel sad, we open the phone. We feel anxious, open the phone. We feel bored, open the phone. We don't even go to the toilet without our phones anymore. Because it's uncomfortable to just think of what I need to do, to-do list, deadline. So we escape through the phone. And when you go into the phone, you go on this emotional roller coaster. You have a funny video, you have World War III, you go from funny, sad, happy, depressed, worried, scared. So it's an emotional roller coaster. And this is the worst strategy you can have for emotional regulation for two reasons. One, because you can't escape your emotions. They will just come back and bite you stronger.
Mm,
If you feel sad, you go for the phone. 2 hours later, you're gonna feel more sad. It just comes back and bites you even stronger.
true.
And second, we have magnificent brains. We think around even more than 70,000 thoughts per day. When we go to the phone, instead of letting our thoughts happen, we are numbing our brains and we are stopping our brains from thinking these thoughts. And so this is when the brilliant ideas come. So if you are putting in like noise and numbing your brains instead of letting them think, you are missing out on the potential amazing ideas that you can have to build your business, to achieve bigger things, to even have different goals and new dreams. And so these are the two reasons why it's really the worst strategy you can have.
I definitely agree. And what you said about they come back to bite you stronger is so true. I remember that whenever I used to want to escape anxious feelings, I used to have a lot of them. And every time I used to drown my head in a Netflix series or in a series of YouTube videos, I remember that a few hours would pass. Then after it, as soon as I'm done binging, 15 minutes later, these strong negative emotions would come back even stronger.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And also, did you know that entrepreneurs are even more prone to this kind of behavior, to like going for the phone,
Really?
for emotional regulation? Of course, because first, entrepreneurs, like we are, as entrepreneurs, we are building bigger things. We are building a company, we are building a business. We can have employees that we need to take care of, salaries at the end of the month. So entrepreneurship comes with a lot of stress and worry. And so a lot of stress and worry, open the phone. And so we are more prone to this behavior. But also the entrepreneurial mindset is a fiery mindset. It's a mindset of go, hustle, don't overthink, just take the risk. Don't like you want to get things done. You have a to-do list, you want to smash that to-do list.
True.
And so with this mindset, you go for the quick fix. The quick fix is not to just sit there and meditate or feel your emotions. The quick fix is just like, it's just a quick 30-minute episode and then I'll get back going. It's a quick quick break and we are so good at getting excuses to say like, just a quick break, I deserve it, I worked all day, and then you end up all binging all night. So yes, entrepreneurs are even more prone to it.
That's true, actually. Yeah. It comes with a lot of anxiety, and I don't want to deal with that anxiety. I don't want to deal with those fearful thoughts. So I seek a quick way to fix them. Like, I'm scared about something, I just want to get it done. I hate overthinking. I hate thinking about the fear. So I just want to I want it gone.
Exactly.
That's true. I do want these emotions gone. I don't sit with them. That's true.
Exactly. And it's a learning process. Like, it's not like if we talked about it now, then it's very easy to just go and sit with our emotions. Especially because we got used to social media and to this roller coaster and to numbing our brains with a quick fix. It's not easy to just sit there. So it's iterative. You start maybe with 10 minutes sitting with your emotions, and then you go into 15 minutes, and then it becomes natural. But it doesn't come as second nature.
True. When you say it's a learning process, it makes me remember something that happened recently. So, as you know, I've stopped watching YouTube for more than a year now, and really stopped, like, compared to how much I used to spend in the past. Now it's barely half an hour every 2-3 weeks because I need to get some information, go and get the information and get out. But when you say it's a learning process, it reminds me of a failure I had 3 weeks ago. And I call it failure because it kind of is. It's a setback. 3 weeks ago, so just to tell you how I managed to stop YouTube, which was one of the biggest useless time-sucking things in my life. What I did is I realized that I'm an overthinker. And whenever I watched a series, and I used to watch series on YouTube and on Netflix, both of them, two platforms that took a lot of my time, I used to keep thinking of what would happen next. Cliffhangers were the trick that hooked a person like me a lot. So, for example, I would start a series. I would stop at episode 4, let's say. 2 days after that, I would find myself in the shower calculating every possible scenario that the main character could go through after that cliffhanger. It was mind exhausting. Like, imagine drawing in your brain mind maps of something so unimportant and useless as a series of what could happen next. Plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. Like, I'd rather be thinking about my life and all the possible situations and scenarios in my life rather than a fictional story. And I hated that. I really hated how much these series had a hold over me. So I took a decision, and you know about that more than a year ago, that whenever I start a series and it hooks me, I literally butcher it. I go to the last episode of the entire season and I watch it, because that way I would know exactly what happened. No more calculation, no more what if he does that, what if she does that, what if.
I remember that was so annoying.
Like, I spoiled the series, all of the series that hooked me, I spoiled them for myself. And it was great. Why? Because I hated how it made me feel powerless. Like, it had a hold over me. I couldn't not think about it. It was so distracting. And I have work, I have so many responsibilities. I cannot deal with this in the back of my mind. Yeah. So I loved that. And it worked. Spoiling the series for myself worked. Because then I could watch the series calmly later. But what happened 3 weeks ago was that there's a new type of trick or trap that I fell into. And that was something I had never experienced before. I went into YouTube and I have no idea how this content got pushed to me. But I got pushed a video of between 20 to 30 minutes. And it's a video of a series that's very dramatic, like super dramatic, my God. And I'm
the soap opera kind.
Exactly. And I typically I'm not interested in watching this stuff, but I watched it and it was very hooky. And I wanted to skip to the last episode like I usually do, except that this type of series gets released only once, like one episode every Friday. And that was hell for me. Imagine I have to wait till next Friday to know what's gonna happen, and an overthinker like me, no way. So what I found myself doing, like Tuesday, Wednesday, in the middle of my workday, I found myself going into YouTube, checking if there's some pre-release of some information, something I could watch to know what happens next.
Yeah.
It was exhausting. It was very distracting. And I ended up every time going back into YouTube, watching more stuff, unrelated stuff, because I'm back in. And if you remember, I felt so defeated because I was wasting so much time 3 weeks ago. And I started asking myself, like, again, like, I feel defeated again after a year. I'm hooked back on YouTube. Like, it's shameful and it's sad, and really I'm wasting hours of my day on this thing. And I remember when I talked to you about it and I told you, like, what's wrong with me? First thing you told me,
questions.
Stop asking what's wrong with me. I loved that. And then you told me the story of the donkey. And it was such a great story. I really want you to say it to our audience today, because I think it's going to help them too.
Yeah, sure. But so, yes, so again, the questions, and again with the trap, it's just, you just focus on the trap and it shrinks. Mm. So the story of the donkey, it goes like this. So it's a story that my grandma told me as a kid. So there was this village, and there was a donkey in this village. It's like the village donkey. Everyone in the village used this donkey for their own needs. Like the baker used the donkey to transport the flour from the entrance of the village to the bakery. Mm. The carpenter used the donkey to put logs of wood from the forest to his workshop. And so everyone in the village used this donkey. And the donkey was so proud, and he felt like integrated, like part of the community, helping everyone in the community. And so it was a happy donkey living his life. One day, the donkey was walking through the forest, and he fell into a hole. There was a hole that was covered, so he fell into that hole. It's such a deep hole that he went deep. You couldn't like get back up. And he started calling for help. He's like, of course they're gonna help me. I'm the donkey of the town. I'm part of the community. And so some villagers passed by and they heard the donkey asking for help. They came in, saw the donkey. They tried to help because they need him. So they tried to get him out. The donkey is so heavy. The hole is too deep. There's no way they're gonna get him out. So they decided to bury him alive. Like there's no way. Like he's gonna die anyway.
So sad.
I know. So they took sand and they started they took shovels and they started throwing sand into the hole to bury the donkey alive to kill him. The donkey didn't know what was happening. In his mind, they're helping him. So every time they shoveled sand into the hole, he stepped on the sand. Shoveled sand into the hole, he stepped on the sand. And he kept doing that up until they covered the hole with sand and he was stepping on the sand. So he went up and he actually saved himself, but he believed that they saved him.
Yeah.
And so the ending is nice somehow. Like at least he didn't die. But so what's the point? The point is, what do you think would have happened to the donkey if he believed they were killing him and they were burying him alive? If he knew they were actually trying to bury him, he probably would have died of sadness. He would have let himself die and be buried. But because the donkey believed that they were helping him, he stepped on the sand one step after the other and he got himself out. And so why did I remember the story when you were talking about the anticipation trap? Because basically it's how you approach things. If you believe that there's something wrong with you, if you believe that these platforms are killing you, you're just gonna be buried in these traps and you're gonna be buried alive in all of these traps and you're gonna just forget about your potential. If there's something wrong with me, then maybe I just have to live my life like this. But if you believe that every trap is like this sand being thrown into the hole that you can step on and get out of it, step on and get out of the trap, then you start seeing every trap as an opportunity to learn, to fix it, to share it with other people who are also in this trap. And so it has a ripple effect. It doesn't only serve you, but now it's serving other people as well. This is why I say also it's a learning process, because every time we discover a new trap, every time we share about this new trap, we are helping ourselves and we are also helping others do the same.
Exactly. I love that story. I'm happy to hear you say it again. And as you said, like every time I fell, every failure, like I could have stayed down, or as that donkey did, just step on the failure and get up, rise up, because that's when you fall, you learn what mistake you did. That's how I learned and how I avoided. I avoid so many traps daily today. And exactly as you said, it's a learning process. Every failure is an opportunity to learn and to not fall again in the same trap. And so this is exactly why I wanted us to talk today, why I wanted to share with our audience why like this whole getting out of the digital addiction situation is a journey, because there's no magic sauce. It's a lot of learning and a lot of experiences and a lot of lessons that come all together and make up this big puzzle that's gonna get you to your freedom. Like now we have managed to figure out so many things that guarantee me away from wasting time on the screen, digital devices, addictive platforms. I don't do that anymore, barely. But it was all these lessons, all that journey that got me to where I am today. And these are the lessons we want to share with you in our podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope we see you in the next episode. We wish you freedom and success.